Hello and welcome to Jesus for Asia Now. I'm Natalie Wood and my husband John is joining me today in the studio. Hello, love.
Hi, darling. How are you?
I'm doing good.
Good.
I would like to know where we're going today.
Today we are going all the way to the other side of the earth to a place called Indonesia.
A place I have never been, but you have been a few times.
Yes, and I apologize for that. I would love to take you. It's really hard to wrap your mind around what Indonesia actually is because it's not like a continent or a island. You know, it's 17,500 islands.
Right, and I'm sure all of them have varying, some of them might have mountains, some of them have beaches, only beaches, it's like a small thing. So it's very, very diverse ecologically.
Yeah, and not all of them are inhabited.
Right.
And not all of them are islands throughout the entire tide cycle. Some of them disappear and some of them come back. So, how you count them, it's... Anyway, but it like flows, that island is the archipelago that flows all the way from Malaysia, all the way down, up, Solomon Islands down here, all the way up to the Philippines. So the Philippines and Malaysia and Indonesia all kind of flow together, and it actually shares a couple islands. Like Borneo is shared between Indonesia and Malaysia. And of course, Papua is shared between Indonesia and New Guinea. And then the island of Timor-Leste is a little tiny island, but the eastern half of that island is its own country, and the western half of the island is Indonesia. So it's all very complex and hard to wrap your mind around. You really need to go there to get a grasp of that area.
And it could take you a little bit if you're going to go there to go to 17,000 islands.
True.
Speaking of going to 17,000 islands, one of the Tencano boys did the math and figured out that it would take you 48 years if you went to a different island every single day.
Every single day.
Yeah.
48 years worth of island hopping.
Right.
I'd get tired of that.
I think everybody would. But it also brings home the point that there's a lot of places there. Now, like you said, not all those islands are inhabited.
Right.
But there's a lot of them that do have people living on them that need to know Jesus.
Yes. And even the islands that are uninhabited, it's like the vast majority of them, we have no presence, no representative of the three angels' message.
Right.
There's a few islands or a few tribes in Indonesia that are Christian, and that's where our church is strongest. Okay. In fact, we're about in 2 tribes in Indonesia. That's where we're strong. And there are 1,300 tribes in Indonesia. So 2 out of 1,300, not so good.
No, it's kind of a daunting task.
Yes.
But that's why we get to be a part of God's army.
Right.
Because He's in charge.
Right.
And we just do our little part and He makes it work for good.
And if everybody does their little part, then God can do His big part.
Right.
Yeah. And so...
Okay, so we have this map.
We used to count the progress of the gospel by country, but this is broken down by language. The green part is the place that the Adventist church has a strong church. The yellow is the place where the Adventist church is emerging, but it's not super strong. And the red is the place where there is no known work at all. And you can see there's a lot of red. Over 1,200 languages in which our church is not involved in, which needs to change.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so I don't know how to make a difference, make that change.
No, but God does.
God knows.
So as we approach Him and ask Him for help, He will show us our little step and after step, after step, after step.
Yeah. Now, one thing I want everyone to notice is that we talk a lot about what we're doing in the mission field. And most ministries do, because we want to bring a good report. But the truth is that we could also talk about what we're not doing and looking at all the places that are unreached. I hear a lot of people, when we give them a report, they say, oh, God's working everywhere. And the truth is...
there are many places where God is working, but we're not there to be His hands and feet.
Exactly. And so there's vast stretches of God's vineyard that have yet to be reached. Right. That is not really what we like to talk about. Number one, it's hard to talk about because we don't really have any information to talk about them. There's no really inspiring stories coming from there because there's We don't know of anything happening there. And there's no calls from those unreached people groups because they don't even know that we exist.
Right.
They don't know. And
or that God exists, or that they should even look for him.
Exactly. So that's the hardest part of anything we have encountered in the mission field is just the unknown, the unreached, the unentered tribes, the unentered areas. So what do you do? I mean, I have really no clue other than to just go and meet them, put your foot there, look around, and pray and say, God, what can we do here? And it's almost overwhelming if you think that, I'm the only one or you're the only one. Statistically, there's 6,000 unreached people groups in the world from any Christian denomination. 6,000. Okay? For our church, for the Adventist church, there's still 6,000 unreached languages in which we have no work. 6,000. Okay? I'm not going to be able to reach 6,000 in my life.
Nope.
And so what do we need? Well, number one, we need to pray. Number two, we need revival for missions. I believe God has preserved all these unreached people groups for this generation.
Right.
So that we have something to do. So that we have a cause worth dying for. And so it's like the first thing that we can do. What's the first thing we can do? I go there and look at them and see what they look like and pray. And that's what this show is about. We have our missionary family, the Tencanos, in Indonesia. And in this episode, they go and visit places that don't have work. And we're going to kind of follow along with them.
So let's start with their nearby village.
Okay.
Water comes in if it rains, and she's apologizing because it's not so pretty. It says cook it according to your own days, your own preference. All right. We didn't mean to come here to eat, but I guess we don't want to refuse your hospitality, so we'll take it. So this is a typical home of our neighbor. He goes to the field during the day and comes home at this time of the day. He's showing me his house. And it's a lot of work, a lot of repair. So they're all happy knowing that we're gonna have like a clinic and a music school and a barber shop for the people. Hopefully it gets done soon so we can start serving them. Providing free haircuts to them, they can probably save, I don't know, $2 in a month. That's a lot, but the man gets haircut like, every few months. So we give them the service. I'm so excited. So for them to serve us with this, I'm guessing it's probably too expensive.
Aduh, dapetin Pak dah. Ayo Pak. Ayo rame-rame Pak. Ayo silakan ayo teman. Bapak juga makan? Iya, iya, siap.
Well, this is a typical hospitality extended to guests. And there's no plan for them to receive guests. We just came in suddenly, and then this is what they made for us. We went to the kitchen. I saw that's already cooked. I'm guessing that was probably their dinner. And then we came, but we'll have to accept their hospitality. When they offer something, we just take it. Okay, even though it's not really convenient.
That's cool. So they went to visit somebody they didn't know, and the people provided them hospitality.
Mm-hmm.
You never know what you're going to find or who you're going to find. And that's one of the biggest joys of going into an unentered area, is meeting people and finding friends.
It speaks to me because the people didn't know they were coming,
Mm-hmm.
and yet they insisted on feeding them. And like he was saying, they're very poor, maybe a couple of dollars.
Mm-hmm.
They get a day, maybe
Mm-hmm.
a couple a week, I don't know, but it's like very, very poor. And their home is in such poor shape. They were apologizing. It's really heartbreaking when you go
Yeah.
and see some of these places, and you realize how people live so close to starvation in
Yeah.
many places.
I was there in 2007, and I visited a house. I wanted to film somebody making food, cooking lunch, and so I was able to go in there. I had my interpreter, or a friend that was interpreting for me. And when I left, I spent probably an hour there, filmed them cooking and then eating. And when I left, I gave them $10, just as a thank you. They were shocked. And my interpreter says, "Oh, that's going to take care of that whole family for a week." And I'm like, wow, that's amazing.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
one of the things that Ramon mentioned when he was talking there as he was cooking was the barber shop.
Yes.
So that's what this next video is about.
Okay.
Well, this is the little property that we have, just not so far from where we are, the studio. Actually, we bought this a long time ago when it was really nothing in this area. I would say 8 years ago. Now they put a road. And, the villagers here have been asking myself to do something, so for the benefit of the people here. And then we just thought of doing something, and then Daniel and I, my son, we thought about making a barbershop.
What come up to my mind is nowadays you have to be creative in reaching out to people, especially in a country like mine where most of the people are Muslims, especially the biggest Muslim population in the country. And the question is, like, how do we reach out to people who are already prejudiced about our beliefs, people who think that we want to Christianize them when we want to reach out to them. Sometimes, like, every time we have a ministry, people in my place would, at least in my country, would have like a thought that, do you think that your religion is better, that you want to Christianize me or something? But me and my team, we just want to give out something like something simple, basic needs of people, which is like cutting hair.
Pekerjaan ini adalah misi di mana kita.
Well, the mission in this project is to show the people through actions that we work with God, and where if we do the work God has trusted to us with all our heart, it can be an example to others for them to follow. And here we also learn to serve the people who can't afford to go to the city and get a haircut, so we help and we learn to give them our best even if it's free. Even though some may not want to have a free haircut because they're shy, so if they want, they can pay with what they can afford.
Rambut di kota, tetapi
They actually do know why do we like do all these things, and they love it. They can't wait for the new barber shop. Actually, they keep asking, when is it going to open? And we said, like, as soon as possible. That's why we're trying to learn as fast as we can.
Well, that's a fun way for them to get involved with the locals by offering that
way for
service.
me.
Yeah, it's true. It is scary because, even I only cut your hair. I used to cut the kids' hair, but now I only do yours, and it's still scary. Like, what if I make a mess of your hair? Then we'll have to go find somebody else to fix it.
Well, at least you don't have a lot to cut, but anyway.
But yeah, it's such a blessing though to look at, they're just thinking and praying, what kind of service can we offer? How can we connect with our neighbors better?
Exactly.
And then they come up with the idea of a barber shop. And so
if they have prejudices against Christianity, then they get to know Christians. A lot of them don't know any Christians.
right.
So they get to know Christians. That breaks down those barriers, those walls. And
Yep. So this
Okay.
next part, we're going traveling. We're going to a different place. And what is the name of that place?
Yogyakarta.
Okay.
It's farther east, and it's its own like autonomous region.
Okay.
Oke, Yogyakarta itu memiliki
Yogyakarta has population of 3 million people with 4 counties and 1 city.
4 kabupaten.
The whole greater Yogyakarta, there are about 4 churches and 1 Sabbath school branch, with the members reach up to 350 people.
Bermula sekitar tahun 1000.
The work of the church started in 1939, according to the church history here. And from that year until now, we only have 4 churches in Yogyakarta, in the whole province. And this Timoho church is the first one, the mother church in Yogyakarta.
Dan ini merupakan Timoho, gereja yang
It's a vast area. The work of the gospel ministry needs some breakthroughs.
Jadi dari mungkin sekitar 400 anggota yang
So many members are not active for whatever reasons, maybe for work or other situations. And people who are staying here permanently, the residents, are really not active. The ones that are active are the ones coming here temporarily. And when they're done with their school or they're stationed here temporarily and then they move back, so this keeps rotating. So the human resources are the challenge here. The place is vast and the opportunity are so many, but the willingness to serve quite limited. This is the challenge of the church here in this Yogyakarta area. So for decades here, we only have 4 churches. This is considered very, very slow, but we're optimistic.
That's really challenging.
Yeah.
300 active members for 3 million people. That's 100,000 people per believer. That's overwhelming.
Yeah.
At least there's a church there.
Right.
There's something
But
there.
it's a large area.
Hmm.
So it's like, how close are those 4 churches to all those people?
Right.
What kind of distance would someone have to travel to go to one of those churches?
Yeah.
To find out about that church,
That's the
to
key.
meet an Adventist, to meet a
Yes.
Christian.
Yeah.
How far would they have to travel?
Right. Do they even know they're there?
Right. Right.
Huge challenge, and this is where we're like looking. There's so many places we look and say, okay, what can we do?
Mm-hmm.
What can we do? Because what if we don't do anything? Will anybody else do something? A lot of people will say that. Well, it's not my responsibility. Somebody else will do something, I'm sure. And everybody says that. And so what happens? Nothing ends up getting done.
So one of the things we have to pray about,
Mm-hmm.
and this is an opportunity that we've been given,
Okay.
that we haven't been able to follow up on, is an airport there.
Yes. Somebody donated, so we were able to purchase an airplane in hopes of developing an aviation program. And it's all about relationships there. So he's been spending the last couple of years developing relationships, and now doors are opening. And in this area, we've been told by the powers that be that we can use a runway free of cost in that area near a populated zone if we just fix up the building that is kind of dilapidated there at the runway. So that's pretty exciting.
All right, let's watch the video.
Okay.
We are in the south coast of Java Island, still in the province of Yogyakarta. There's this village here, it's called Depok Village. Talking to people around here, they seem to be one of the neglected villages on the province. And I always thought about doing something for people in this province, and so happened that we have an aviation program now. And we were able to land here particularly, and the landing strip is actually just behind us. It's right along the coastline. See, the thing is, people, the hobby pilots, people who like to fly here on the weekends only, I've spoken to some of them that the reason why we acquired an airplane is not only to fly as a hobby. I like to do something with the airplane, reach out people who are otherwise neglected in a way. So this is probably one of the cases that I'd be interested in doing, developing. As I've spoken to some people, there's a great need to develop the area to become more commercial, touristy, so people from outside can come and spend time here, and with their hopes to have this to become like a tourist destination. It already is in a way. They collect retributions from outsiders when they pull in with a car, with the motorcycles, but it doesn't seem to be enough vast. There is any schools or clinic. It's pretty much absent here, other than the basic ones. They have elementary school here locally, but that's about it. People are generally fishermen. Even that, really, with the sea condition like this, they have to come home by like 4 in the afternoon. And ideally, if you want to go fish, you have to go fishing all night. But this sea condition, the south coast of Java, is known to be mystical. Fishermen having a hard time to make ends meet just doing fishing. People here, they say they feel like they're neglected by the government. It's been proven by the fact that there's no major industries here coming in. It's just like there's really nothing, they got really nothing to offer. They've offered myself several things, to generate income with, but I'm more into just, I don't know, maybe providing service and inviting people to share, so these people can create traffic. They have income. They see people from outside, and the outside people can come in, and we can start doing something.
That's exciting.
Yeah, what an opportunity.
It's a beautiful runway.
Yeah.
And beautiful location.
Yeah, it's interesting about the ocean, though, that they have to come in by 4.
Yeah, I'd like to learn more about that.
Yeah.
But see, these are things that, when you just talk about the unreached, it's like this cloud. But when you go there, you start finding out, oh, there's a beach, and it looks like that, and oh, there's an airstrip, and oh,
right.
there's hardly any schooling there, and
right. Some of the challenges that they're dealing with in their daily lives.
You start learning a little bit about them. You have a little more traction in your prayer. It's like you start being able to think, okay, I see them now. I see that place now. I can start praying that. And so this is like one step towards getting to know and entering the unreached. But it's hard work.
Right. Right. But prayers are so important, because
Yes.
that's how doors open.
Yes.
So that's how anything's going to happen at that airstrip is going to be because of a lot of prayer.
But the truth is, we really don't need to go there for ourselves. There's nothing in it for us. We could stay doing what we've been doing just fine.
Yeah, and Tencanos are quite busy doing what they're doing.
Very busy.
But there's people who could know about Jesus.
And so it's like that existential, that like abstract concept that there's people out there that don't have access to the gospel. That's just like, it's the silent voices that are the loudest, keep calling to us. It's like, we can't hear them. We don't see any email, hey, please come to Macedonia.
Yeah.
But they're there. We know they're there. And so it's like, how do we get there?
Yeah. So this next video, he's downtown in the big city.
Okay.
At night.
Okay.
We're in the middle of a city named Yogyakarta. The city is an old city. It has centuries worth of history. One part of Indonesia that's never really been colonized. I'm always happy to be back here in the city because, Even my previous life, before we became missionaries, my family and I, we used to come here a lot. And I spent a good amount of time here, coming here, having businesses, having contacts. And so I had tears and joy connected with the city. Now I feel the burden of being sent here in the city simply because our television, HCB Indonesia, we hardly, I would even say never have any respondents coming from this whole city. And the city has 3.5, I think, million population, and we're not getting any one responding viewer from this whole area. Statistically, I think 60% of Indonesia's population actually live here in this island. 60% of 260-something million people, 60% of those live here in this island. And then this middle part of the island, this Yogyakarta and the central Java, has the highest number of Christianity amongst all the rest of the, the west and the east of Java. It just so happened that our aircraft is being placed here in this city, one of the military air bases here. I feel like God is bringing me back here to the city to do something about the absence of our presence here. We're finding ways to reach out to people, whether it's through cycling, through Barber Shop, through aviation, or even just hanging out, meeting. Look at how many people are here at night. There's got to be something. The city is actually called City of Students because there's a huge presence of universities and so many people from younger age, younger generation. They have a culture of hanging out. Even if it goes to like midnight, so many young people actively just doing things on the streets. So how do we attract them? How do we get them to come to see Jesus? That's the key. But I think God is really going to start something up in this whole region. Hopefully we get there and can bring the love of Jesus soon to them.
So now we have a visual image of a mostly unreached city.
Yeah.
So we can think about that when we pray. Those people walking past,
Right.
we can lift them up in prayer.
Right. I would like to invite you to pray for the people of Yogyakarta and the rest of Indonesia. There is so much need. And if you would like to be involved, please contact us at Jesus for Asia, P.O. Box 1221, Collegedale, Tennessee 37315. Call us at 423-413-7321 or visit our website at jesusforasia.org. May God richly bless you until we see you next time on Jesus for Asia Now.